The story begins in a small town in America where people are enjoying a peaceful picnic by the river. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a boat drifts toward them completely unmanned. But what they discover inside the boat shocks everyone. Inside lies a horribly decomposed dead body. The corpse is in an extremely gruesome state, almost unrecognizable. Soon, Police Chief John Hawkins arrives at the scene. However, Forensic Officer Connie is already there before him. She tells Hawkins that the body is in such bad condition that there aren't even any bones left. Unless remains, it's a bizarre case. It almost seems like someone carefully removed all the bones, which is normally considered impossible. The body is sent for an autopsy. Dr. Jacob examines it thoroughly and later tells Hawkins that it does indeed appear as if someone meticulously extracted all the bones. But the real question is, how could anyone even do that? During the examination, Jacob also discovers a strange bee-like larva inside the body. He collects it in a jar. Hawkins hands the jar to Connie, instructing her to keep it safe. It might serve as a crucial piece of evidence to uncover the cause of death. Soon after, Connie manages to find out the name of the deceased man. The man's name was Dr. Cole Parsons. He was a scientist who had moved to this town about a year ago. His wallet and some personal belongings were found right there in the boat. Before coming here, he had been a university professor, but he abandoned everything and chose to live alone, deep in the forest by the river, to investigate the case properly. Chief Hawkins knew he would have to visit the scientist's home. Meanwhile, we are introduced to a woman named Meg, Hawkins' ex-girlfriend. Meg works with the police as a guide through the forest. Hawkins meets her and explains all the details of the case. It turns out Meg knew the scientist about a year ago. She had even helped him carry some of his belongings. She was aware that he had been working on some kind of experiment. Though she didn't know the full details, Hawkins asks Meg to join him to help with the investigation, and she immediately agrees. He also brings Dr. Jacob along for the inspection. Before setting out, Hawkins gathers some information, but then he receives another troubling piece of news. The scientist had a young daughter who went missing about a year ago. She has never been found. The next day, Hawkins, Meg, and Jacob packed their supplies and set off toward the dense forest. Part of their journey would require traveling by boat to reach the scientist's remote cabin. As they were on the way, Connie calls. She reports something strange. The larva found inside the scientist's body, which had been dead yesterday, is now alive again today. Connie asks, "Should I send this larva to the lab for testing?" But Hawkins told her to wait until he returned. Connie also revealed more troubling details. When the scientist's daughter went missing, his wife had a severe mental breakdown and had to be hospitalized for 3 months. She kept blaming her husband for their daughter's disappearance. As night fell, Hawkins, Meg, and Jacob finally reached their destination. What had once been a beautiful riverside house had now become a creepy, isolated cabin. No one visited it, and it showed no signs of upkeep. Meg was deeply saddened. Just a year ago, this place had been so beautiful. Hawkins instructed Meg and Jacob to stay outside, while he first checked the interior for any danger. He even called out, hoping someone might be inside, but the place was completely trashed. Furniture was scattered everywhere, showing that nobody had lived here for a long time. As Hawkins began investigating further, he noticed some strange, almost unnatural things. For example, the ceiling seemed to move in a bizarre way, as if it were alive. Soon he found a room whose door was tightly sealed. He decided not to open it yet and went outside to fetch Meg and Jacob. By now, night had fallen completely, and they realized that staying in the forest for the night would be... Going back didn't seem like an option, so they decided to spend the night there. But the atmosphere of the cabin was extremely strange and eerie. Even as they moved around, unsettling and creepy noises echoed throughout the house. Hawkins tried to reassure them, saying, "There's nothing to worry about. These sounds are probably just rats or raccoons." But the tension kept building. Suddenly, the cabin's lights started flickering on and off, making the place feel even more ominous and terrifying. Soon, they noticed a door leading to the basement. Thinking that sleep would be impossible anyway, they decided to investigate a bit. Down in the basement, electricity generating machine. It looked like a huge industrial charger, and they couldn't quite figure out its purpose. Yet, it radiated power and danger. Hawkins remembered that in his research before coming here, he had come across mention of a machine like this. While inspecting the kitchen, they noticed some wires running from a cupboard up toward the ceiling. The three of them realized that the mysterious machine must be located in the room above. Interestingly, the room Hawkins had found locked earlier had now opened on its own. He called Meg and Jacob, and the three of them stepped inside. The walls were covered with strange photographs and mysterious symbols tied to occult rituals. But there were also some science-related items in the room, making it feel like a strange mix of science and black magic. Some of the photographs on the walls were downright horrifying. As they continued investigating, suddenly, a spider bit Jacob right on the face. Panicked and scared, he ran out of the room. Hawkins immediately called Connie and asked her to find out who had built this bizarre house. But due to strong electromagnetic radiation coming from the ceiling, his phone signal kept cutting out. Meanwhile, there was also some tension between Hawkins, Jacob, and Meg. Before Hawkins, Meg had been Jacob's girlfriend, and Jacob still had feelings for her. This made the atmosphere between the three of them a little tense as they prepared to spend the night. Hawkins insisted that all three of them stay in the same room so they could face any danger together. But Meg refused, saying, "I want my own room. I can't adjust with you guys." That night, Jacob fell very ill. Perhaps it was due to the spider bite, or maybe none of them could sleep properly because of the unsettling atmosphere. Meg went to Hawkins' room, feeling that a very dark, malevolent force was present. Although she had spent many nights alone in the forest before, this place felt different. There was something truly sinister lurking here. As the night went on, Meg and Hawkins grew closer, sharing quiet moments and a growing sense of connection. Suddenly, a ladder descended from the ceiling on its own. Jacob's condition was worsening. He seemed completely out of control, barely himself. Then, a noise came from outside. Meg and Hawkins quickly dressed, grabbed their weapons, and stepped out only to find a woman pointing a gun at them. It was none other than Linda, Dr. Cole Parsons' wife, who had come searching for her missing husband. Hawkins calmly explained, "I'm a police officer. Your husband's dead body was found by the river." Linda realized they meant no harm and lowered her weapon. While the adults were talking, Meg went down to the basement to try and restore the cabin's power. There she noticed a frightening shadow of a little girl following her. She also found a doll, which she took with her for safety. Meanwhile, Hawkins realized Jacob was missing. He went outside to search for him and heard strange noises coming from the room above. Hawkins, Meg, and Linda rushed upstairs in there. They found Jacob trapped inside the bizarre machine. They pulled him out, but he seemed completely lost, as if he weren't himself at all. During this chaos, Linda heard the voice of her long-lost daughter calling to her from the upper room. Once Jacob was freed from the machine, Hawkins and the others questioned him about what had happened, how the machine had activated, and why he had gone upstairs. Terrified and weak, Jacob could only repeat again and again, "I don't know. I don't know how this happened." Linda stood in front of the machine, visibly shaken, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. Meg approached her and asked, "Do you have any idea what this machine is?" Linda explained that the machine was an electromagnetic device, capable of generating extremely powerful magnetic fields. She warned that it was incredibly dangerous and potentially deadly to humans. Hawkins then led Linda to the room where the strange, disturbing photographs were plastered all over the walls. Seeing them, Linda became even more alarmed. She had been married to her husband for 10 years and knew him very well. This kind of work was absolutely not something he would do. With complete confidence, she said, "This is not my husband's work."
Ow!
Fear gripped her. Perhaps some truly terrifying force had taken control of him. At that moment, Hawkins noticed a laptop in the room, but it was password protected, so he couldn't access it. He asked Linda for help in unlocking it. But before they could do anything, they looked out the window and there stood Cole, alive and perfectly fine. They rushed outside in shock, realizing this was no illusion. Cole was really alive. Anger and relief surged through Linda, and she slapped him hard, but Cole didn't react with hostility. Calmly, he said, "Your anger is justified. Go ahead, hit me if you must." Then he gestured for everyone to come inside. Where they all sat down, Hawkins asked Cole where he had been all this time and what had happened in the house. He also mentioned the dead body found in the boat by the river. Cole laughed off the questions and avoided giving any direct answers about the machine or the chaos around the house. Meanwhile, back at the police station, Connie was trying desperately to contact Hawkins. The larva found inside the corpse had not only come back to life, had now multiplied into 2 flies. The cause of this strange phenomenon could be Cole's machine at the same time. Jacob's condition was rapidly deteriorating. Terrifying changes were starting to occur in his body. New nails began growing over his old ones. New teeth emerged, and bones were forming on top of bones. He was mutating at an alarming rate. It's likely due to the machine's radiation. Hawkins pressed Cole with question after question, but Cole continued to evade all answers. Even when Linda demanded, "Where have you been?" Cole refused to respond. Even then, Cole didn't give a proper answer. Meanwhile, Jacob seemed to follow Cole's every word, almost as if he were his servant. When Linda went to check on Jacob, she was horrified by the terrifying changes in his body. Panicked, she rushed to Hawkins and Meg to show them what was happening. Seeing Jacob's horrifying transformation, they realized they needed to get out of there immediately. But when they stepped outside, they discovered that the boat they had arrived in was gone. Hawkins' suspicion toward Cole grew stronger. But Cole continued to treat everything like a joke. Enraged, Hawkins snapped. He punched Cole hard and tied him up to prevent him from causing any more trouble. Linda suggested, "We need to search around. Someone nearby might be able to help us get out of here." Hawkins and Meg went in search of help and soon arrived at a camping site. There were plenty of supplies and even some places to stay and eat, but the site held a horrific sight. Dozens of rotting, decomposed bodies were scattered all around. Seeing this gruesome scene, both Hawkins and Meg immediately recoiled in horror. Meg even began to vomit. Hawkins tried to calm her down, but in that emotional moment, Meg revealed something shocking. "I'm pregnant. It's your child." At that moment, Linda was alone in the cabin with Cole. As she began piecing together the truth, she realized that Cole had been hiding many dark secrets. Cleverly, she entered the password Tinkerbell into his laptop, a name Cole had once used to call her, and the laptop unlocked immediately. Inside, she discovered horrifying videos showing Cole conducting experiments on multiple people. Every person who went through the machine emerged possessed by a dark, malevolent force, as if some evil power had taken control of them. Linda also realized that Cole himself had passed through the machine, and the body found by the river really was Cole's original body. The Cole standing before them now was no longer her husband, it was a monstrous creature. Created by the machine, the videos revealed an even darker truth. Cole had even sacrificed his own daughter in this twisted birthday experiment. Horrified, Linda tried to stop him, but Cole locked her in the room to prevent her from interfering. When Hawkins and Meg returned, they discovered that Cole had disappeared. Hawkins told Meg to stay outside while he went in alone to check for any danger. Gun in hand, he stepped inside, and then Jacob's body suddenly began to open from within. Out of his remaining body, a terrifying creature emerged. The creature immediately attacked Hawkins, who fought back with all his strength. Just then, Meg rushed in and fired at the monster, finally bringing it down. Witnessing this terrifying scene, Hawkins realized that the machine had to be destroyed to put an end to this madness. He sent Meg outside for safety and began preparing to destroy the machine using petrol and homemade bombs. Meanwhile, Linda escaped from the room wielding an axe. She was determined to take down Cole at any cost. But when she reached the basement, she saw her daughter being pulled toward the machine. Overcome with emotion, Linda went in after her and became a victim of the machine's deadly power. Outside, some of the victims who had been affected by the machine were now emerging from the forest, moving rapidly toward the cabin. Meg did her best to stop them, but there were too many, and they kept coming. Back in the basement, Hawkins grabbed the petrol and started moving it upstairs. By now, Linda's body had also undergone severe changes. forcing Meg to reluctantly shoot her to prevent further danger. Upstairs, Hawkins and Cole engaged in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. In the struggle, Cole bit off 2 of Hawkins' fingers. In retaliation, Hawkins smashed Cole's head with an iron rod. Seizing the moment, Hawkins set the machine on fire. The flames spread rapidly, and he shouted for Meg to get outside. Meg ran to safety, but Cole rose again and grabbed Hawkins, preventing him from escaping. With a massive explosion, the entire cabin was obliterated. Everything was destroyed. In trying to stop Cole, Hawkins sacrificed his life. Meg was left alone, paralyzed with fear as attacks came from every direction. 8 months later, we see Meg alive and seemingly safe in her home. Connie arrives to deliver some of Hawkins' belongings. After receiving them, Meg burns all the items, erasing the last traces of the past. Meanwhile, the decayed, throat-slashed body of Mac is discovered under a tree, revealing the horrifying truth. The real Meg had died. The Meg we saw surviving was a shapeshifter created by the machine, and it's certain that the child in her womb is no ordinary baby. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.